Peace, 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 peace. This is the original OG from OmegaFMRadio.co.uk. I will be having a discussion about Diana Abbotts. All right?
Omega, Omega, Omega FM, Omega, Omega, Omega FM. You're in tune to 104.1. You're in tune to 104.1.
Okay, Diana Abbotts. Now, Diana Abbotts, if you don't know who she is, she's an African Caribbean woman that resides in the UK and she's an MP for a place called Hackney. All right? And over the last few years, she has made some asinine statements and done some stupid things. All right? So I'm saying that I'm not a fan of hers. I don't hate the woman, but I'm just not a fan of her because I think she's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I really and truly believe that she's stuck on stupid. That's just my personal belief. But the reasons why I believe this, I want you to listen to this, all right? And then I'll get back to you in a minute, all right?
So how much would 10,000 police officers cost?
Well, if we recruit the 10,000 police men and women over a 4-year period, we believe it'll be about £300,000.
£300,000?
Sorry,
10,000 police officers? What are you paying them?
No, I mean, sorry.
How much will they cost?
They will cost... It will cost... about £80 million.
About £80 million?
Yeah.
Right. How do you get to that figure? 80 million divided by 10,000 equals 8,000. So, what are these police officers going to be paid?
We will be paying them the average...
Has this been thought through?
Of course it's been thought through.
I think we do need to revisit that report because... And we do need
Which part of it?
Well, I just think it's about preparedness and resilience.
But he made some very specific recommendations that haven't been acted on. Do you know what they are?
Well, I know, I mean, he was talking about preparedness and resilience, and I do think that we need to act not necessarily on every specific recommendation.
But you remember the report came out only in October 2016. The mayor, the newly elected mayor, commissioned it. It came out in October 2016, and Lord Toby Harris had some bullet points. You know, that's what I've read through. I mean, what did you make of those? The specifics.
I thought, because I know Toby Harris, he's a very
long-standing London very thorough-blown inquiry, I must say, and review.
I thought it was an important review, and I think we should act on it, but obviously working with stakeholders...
But what should we act on? I mean, you know, what do you think of the recommendations about the various police forces in London?
You mean the idea that they should work more closely together?
Well, he suggested they should amalgamate.
Well, I think that's an interesting idea, but I think you'd find resistance in some parts of London to the amalgamation.
Have you actually read the report?
I have.
Okay, what about when you talk about, what about the physical resilience? Again, I'm referring to this because it seemed prescient.
Yes, I mean, I think physical resilience is important. I think that...
But there was a specific aspect of physical resilience.
Well, I think that physical resilience is important.
Yes, well, I mean, but the specific aspect was he talked about putting up more barriers in the light of the Nice attacks. He mentioned that in October 2016.
Yes,
Jeremy Corbyn and John McDonnell's team have been trying to keep you off the airwaves.
No, that's why I'm here this evening.
Well, you said that you book your own appearances, that you don't run them through the leader's office.
No. We work very closely with the press office.
But they regard you, that the two J's regard you as a bit of a liability after your brain fade on police costume.
I'm here. I've just come from doing another media interview. I'm going on to do another media interview. There's no truth in the idea that I'm not in the media, particularly talking about what happened
But you're not,
on London Bridge.
you think you're an asset, clearly, not a liability to the front bench.
I think I'm Shadow Home Secretary, and it'd be very strange if the Shadow Home Secretary wasn't doing interviews like this.
And you think that in 3-4 days' time you will be the Home Secretary?
I think the most important thing is that in 3 or 4 days' time we actually win the general election, and then Jeremy will choose his cabinet.
You said white people love playing divide and rule. We shouldn't play their game. I could never imagine Michael saying that, changing that to saying black people love playing divide and rule.
What happens, yeah.
And what would happen if he said it? You didn't speak in code.
That
was quite a racist remark, was it not?
No, I don't think it's racist. I think it
What,
was...
to say that white people, not some or a few or even many, but white people as a group love playing divide and rule.
I was referring to the history of the British Empire.
But you were contextualising it to the present day, weren't you? I mean, you were contemporising it.
It was referred to. Actually,
Well,
you're referring to the Stephen Lawrence case, which I think happened long after we had an empire.
No. It was part of it was part of a sequence of debate. It was referring to British Empire, and of course, when you have to put things into 140 characters, you don't often get the nuancing that you should get.
I think one thing that was
what would the
scary.
nuance be then?
The nuance would be that this is the history of the British Empire.
But you were talking about Stephen Lawrence.
No, it was a longer.
You were responding to new evidence that came out on the Stephen Lawrence case. And you said white people love playing divide and rule. We should not play their game. Present tense, not empire, India, the Raj.
In 140 characters, and that's what I was referring to. Anyone who knows history of British Empire knows that is exactly how an empire was built.
It's a large figure that Labour has put on that extra 2,000. How much is that, and where would that money come from?
Well, what we've said is we would find the money to recruit the 10,000 police people by cutting the...
Time.
We would find the money because we'd look at capital gains tax. The Tories have cut capital gains tax and we want to restore it. And that would give us, I think, 170...
Ouch.
We would find the money by restoring levels of capital gains tax.
And that's an extra...
In justifying your decision, which we talked about before, don't want to dwell on that, to send your son to a private school, you said...
Inquiry minds would like to know, who's this dude leaning all up on her? I have a saying, I have a school of thought. Any black woman that dates a Caucasian man, that black woman is like a Ku Klux Klan member stuck inside of her, a white woman stuck inside of her. But I will discuss that another time later on.
Quote, West Indian mums will go to the wall for their children. So black mothers love their kids more than white.
Andrew, we've just had, I think, one of the most important budgets in a generation. I've said everything I'm going to say about where I sent my son to school.
No, I'm not. That's what I want to. I don't understand this quote. No. Supposing Michael had said, white mums will go to the wall for their children.
Andrew, I've got nothing new to say.
Oh, that's a man.
Why would you say that West Indian mums will go to the wall for their children?
Andrew.
I mean, isn't that a racist remark?
Andrew, I've got nothing new to say. Let's talk about the most important budget in
No,
a lifetime.
I'm talking about what you've said. If West Indian mums are as wonderful as you say, why are there so many dysfunctional West Indian families in this country, and so many West Indian young men end up in a life of crime and gangs?
I actually run an awards programme and have done for many years for London's top achieving black children. And actually, Andrew, there's lots of black boys out there working hard and doing extremely well.
Clearly not enough of them for you to send your kid to the local school.
This is going around.
I mean, you didn't want them to go to a school full of kids that had been brought up by West Indian mums.
No, actually, under a Labour government, because this all happened 9 years ago, now, it's in that time, Labour's built 5 new secondary schools in Hackney, and I wouldn't have to make the same decision.
Would you like to make it clear that, in the round, in general, West Indian mums are no better or no worse than white mums and Anglo-Asian mums and so on.
Andrew, I've got nothing more to say on
You
this.
don't want to make that clear.
Andrew, I've got nothing more to say.
So you still think West Indian mums
I've got
are the best?
nothing more to say.
Okay.
You ain't hear that woman? She says she ain't got nothing more to say. Simple as that. No long drawn out thing. Now, Diane Abbotts. In the first part of that compilation, Diane Abbotts, right, made herself sound stupid. Why did she make herself sound stupid? Because she's an MP for Hackney and she's talking about a budget. And she did not come with the right information. And then what happens now is that Nick Ferrari made his name off of her. Trust me, Nick Ferrari made his name off of her. All right? Because of that interview. So certain things I do agree with Diane Abbott, and certain things I don't agree with Diane Abbott. But what I would say though, that we as African Caribbean people that reside in the UK, right, if some of our members act up, then we kick them to the curb. But at the same time, if they're making a profound statement that is true, then we can't just kick them to the curb just like that. All right? Because the Indians don't kick their people to the curb. They may have a disagreement, but they're not going to kick them to the curb. The white people may have a disagreement, but they're not going to kick them to the curb. It's only we as Africans, right, that we have a disagreement, and we want to kick somebody to the curb. Now, why I said she's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, this is Diane Abbotts once again. This is in 2019. She comes out with two different shoes. I don't know if you can see it. Two different shoes. She's an African Caribbean woman. She's supposed to represent, all right? Not come out like that, all right? So that's Diane Abbotts there. Then you've got Diane Abbotts on the train, on the subway, drinking, right? Alcohol, and she should know better. She's an MP, right? She should just definitely know better, all right? So that's the reason why I said she's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Now, sometime later on, right? Sometime later on, this dude here, his name, this has come from The Guardian. This dude now, biggest Tory donor just said, looking at Diane Abbotts make you want to hate all black women, right? Now, he is a donator. He donated 10 million, as you can see, 10 million to the Tories. And nobody said nothing. The Labour Party didn't say nothing. The Conservative Party didn't say nothing. The Reform, none of those parties said anything about the statement that was made because you had a female called Sarah Cox, and she was killed. And a few other politicians or MPs was killed. So they made this big thing about it and said, well, obviously you should make a big thing about it because a politician. However, did they make any mention or anything about Diane Abbotts and saying no, that dude should be brought under prosecution to make him terroristic threat against the MP? No, not a word. Everything went quiet. Then later on, Diane Abbotts got suspended. Now this is why I said I agree with Diane Abbotts. So much as I don't like Diane Abbotts, but I agree with Diane Abbotts. Diane Abbotts stated the veteran MP now faces an investigation over her defense of remarks more than 2 years ago that people of color experience racism all their lives, which was different from the prejudice experienced by Jewish people, Irish people, and travelers. Now, what did she say that was wrong? We know what racism is. We've experienced it from the day we were born. We experience racism. And what is racism? It's the color of our skin, the texture of our hair, how you know a race. Now, in the 1700s, you had some professors and some psychologists and a few other individuals that came up with the coin this term Negroids, Caucasoid, and Mongoloids. And they're saying it was done under racism. I don't know about it. I'm not taking it, pardon me, I'm not taking it from the perspective of racism. I'm taking it that there's only but three races that we can see: Negroids, Caucasoids, and Mongoloids. Mongoloids don't look like Caucasoids. Mongoloids don't look like Negroids. Why? Because they're yellow and they got slit eyes. Yes, they have straight ears, but they got slanted eyes. A Caucasian don't look like a Mongoloid or a Negroid. Why? Because they got straight hair, but they're pale, right? Negroids don't look like Caucasoids, all right? Negroids got kinky hair, dark skin. If you want to say black skin, no problem, but I'll just say extra dark for the conversation's sake, right? And we definitely don't look like no mongoloids. Years later on, there was an interbreeding and so forth among the races, but we know that you look at me straight away, you know I'm not Caucasoid, and you know I'm not a mongoloid. You know if anything, I'm a Negroid, right? So, so when Diane Abbotts made that statement, right, what it was is that Hitler stated that they are a race that he wants to get rid of. A race that he wants to get rid of. But they're not a race. Now, if you want, because they're white, they're just like Hitler. Hitler white, he European, the Jews are European, all right? And I'm gonna have to stop using this word Jews, because they're not Jews. They're Ashkenazi. That's how you pronounce it? Ashkenazi, right? Why? Because that part of Jew, what they call Jew, was us as Africans first, and they plagiarized our history. All right, so Diane Abbotts made that statement, right? Then you've got what you call it? You've got Whoopi Goldberg. Now Whoopi Goldberg, she made a statement, and she stated it was a white on white crime. Now, before I go any further, let me go back to the Jewish thing. With the Jewish thing, the only way that you will know if you're going to go for a stereotype, because we know that Jews are Caucasians, they're Caucasoid. But if you're going to go for the stereotype what Hitler might have done, then you would have to say that they have a hook nose and a hunchback. And a hunchback is a deformity, it's genetic, right? If that's what they want to say, but that don't make them a race, that might make them different, like a redhead or so forth. And then this grimy, slimy David Lammy came out of his mouth and said what Diane Abbott said was derogative, right? And it was anti-Semitic. All right? Now, sometime later on, right, Diane Abbotts made a statement, right? Let me play you the Whoopi. Take a listen to this.
We're back now with fresh controversy surrounding Whoopi Goldberg. It's spilling over from comments she made almost a year ago saying the Holocaust was not about race. She was widely condemned then and apologized, but she just made similar comments again in a new interview. NBC's Nayela Charles has the story.
Tonight, Whoopi Goldberg making controversial comments again, reiterating statements from earlier this year that the Holocaust wasn't about race. The Sunday Times of London quoted Goldberg as saying the Holocaust, quote, wasn't originally about race. Also saying, quote, they did that to black people too, but it doesn't change the fact that you could not tell a Jew on a street. You could find me. You couldn't find them. That was the point I was making. The Times said when the reporter reminded Goldberg that Nazis identified Jews as a race, she rebutted, the oppressor is telling you what you are. Why are you believing them? They're Nazis. The article already invoking backlash and déjà vu from some critics on social media, including from a Holocaust survivor and author who said Goldberg continues to use the Holocaust as her punching bag. Back in January, Goldberg was responding to reports of a school banning a graphic novel about the Holocaust when she said this on The View.
The Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race.
No, it's about a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race. What is it about? Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
And doubled down on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
I was saying you can't call this racism. This was evil. Mm-hmm. This wasn't based on the skin. You couldn't tell who was Jewish.
After public pressure, she apologized.
But it is indeed about race, because Hitler and the Nazis considered Jews to be an inferior race.
The View had the Anti-Defamation League on the show to explain the history of persecution the Jewish people have faced. But the Anti-Defamation League did not call for Goldberg to be canceled.
I don't believe in cancel culture. I like the phrase that my friend Nick Cannon uses. We need counsel culture. You know, in the Jewish faith, Don, we have a concept called shuvah. And shuvah means redemption. It means all of us have the power to admit when we do wrong and to commit to doing better.
But ABC still suspended her for 2 weeks. Now ABC's next move is unclear after these latest comments published on Christmas Eve. The company has yet to respond for comment. Tonight, Stand With Us, an Israel education organization calling on Goldberg to educate herself and others.
All right. Now, Whoopi Goldberg. what she said was correct because she said it was a white on white crime because Hitler is a white man. The Jews are white men. I'm gonna have to stop using that word Jew. All right, but for the till I can break out of it, I'm just gonna say Jew for the time being. All right, it was a white on white crime. It wasn't that black people committed that atrocity on these Caucasian Ashkenazi. It's not that. It's not that the Mongoloids or the Chinese committed this. It was within their own race, white race. How are you going to tell the difference if Hitler walked down the street and Benjamin Netanyahu walks down the street? The only difference that you may know, one has got black hair and one has silver blonde hair, right? But it's the same thing. So anyway, I never agreed with them to recanting. You said it the right way. We, as Africans, we're not supposed to kick people to the curb once they're saying the right thing. Yeah, if they're saying the wrong thing, then yeah, you kick them to the curb. All right? We don't want them. But if they're saying the right thing, and what Whoopi said was the right, we're supposed to support her. But no support. That's why Diane Abbott and Whoopi Goldberg had to recant. And a lot of people within the community, when they make statements, because they get pressured and they don't have nobody to support them, they got people like David Slimy Grimy, Lammy, because he's grimy, all right, not defending, all right. So I want you to listen to this. Take a listen to this.
Diana Abbott has been suspended from the Labour Party a second time, saying the leadership want her out. In 2023, she was suspended for the first time after writing a letter to the Observer newspaper about a report it had covered on racism against Jewish, Irish and traveller communities. She said they undoubtedly experience prejudice in a similar way to redheads, but did not experience, she said, racism all their lives. After criticism from Jewish groups, Diane Abbott apologised at the time, saying she had caused anguish and that there was no excuse for it. She was suspended from the Labour Party for a year and let back in after a big row just before the election. Now she's doubled down in a new interview, saying she doesn't regret her original comments and has been suspended a second time, pending an investigation. Some Labour MPs have defended Abbott, saying she's a trailblazer as the first black woman MP. Deputy Leader Angela Rayner has said she's disappointed she'd gone back on the apology, saying there's no place for anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. The question now is whether Diane Abbott has a route back to Labour. Could she even join a new party, suggested by her old political ally, Jeremy Corbyn?
All right, so that was Diane Abbott, right? Now, as I said, if somebody's wrong, they're wrong. But especially if they're Africans or African Caribbean, we're supposed to take the time out to support them. Right? We may not like what they do, but remember, even like, let me give you a quick story. I'm in a penitentiary in the United States, right? And you have the Latin Kings, which is a Spanish gang, and you have the Niñatas, and they have the homosexuals. They call them sisters. And you can't say nothing like, you know, with some Jamaicans or people that like to curse out the homosexuals. You can't, because they're saying it's a sister. What that means is, and every race, they may not agree with one another, all right? But they're not going to kick them to the curb. All right? And that's what we as African Caribbean, that we got to realize, like David Lammy. We could kick David Lammy to the curb. The only time that David Lammy really and truly done anything for anybody was when he done the Lammy report under Cameron. And it was a good report about guns, gang culture, and why the penitentiary, and tried to put things into place. But David Cameron was only playing on a gimmick. He was just hyping up things, right? Now, if David Lammy came out and said something positive, regardless how I feel about him, I would say, well, okay, on this particular topic, I'll support him. But the 99.9%, I'm not going to support him. And this is what happened with Whoopi Goldberg and Diane Abbott. Diane Abbott, the MP for Haringey, right? An African Caribbean woman. We should be not so quick to kick people to the curb, because no other race has to do this with joy. They don't do it with joy. It's like we do it with joy. We have a Kool-Aid smile on our face, Kool-Aid from ears to ears. Anyway, this is just my first recording. It's the first test. So hopefully it works out good, and there will be many more to come. Having individuals to interview individuals, them some controversial, some not. All right. So anyway, I'd like to thank you very much. This is Original OG from Omega FM Radio.co.uk.